A venomous serpent is lying over there. Just you cannot kick it that way. But know that straw is powerless. That serpent is most powerful. It can help you a lot, but you can come to your suffering to a great extent also. So you have to know how to make use of that. So the world is false. Nothing in this world is going to be taken as fixed. Even in the broad daylight, we could be hijacked and still none could see. Even they are wide awake. Still, I am speaking of the cybercrime, which has become rampant, and we feel proud of the kind of knowledge that we have. And it is ready to explode everything. None could be found guilty, and law and order will be at stake. We are just like the playthings in the hands of the machine, AI. Our God, that is visible, very much visible. Our God in the form of AI is visible. I prefer to call it is artificial intelligence, accumulated intelligence, and not artificial intelligence as such. Why? Science is, for that matter, scientists are against artificiality of any kind. So, not a single part in their life is artificial. They feel. But all of a sudden, why they come to this conclusion that it is artificial intelligence? So I have every doubt about the sanctity of this word. Artificial intelligence cannot be artificial as such. And if they say that intelligence is artificial, then mind is artificial, body is artificial, the whole world, visual world is artificial. But they won't say that. They stick to this particular aspect of their being. Intelligence, it has become artificial. Since science avoids artificiality of any kind, the one great thing AI is going to establish. That's why I say it is accumulated intelligence. It is our intelligence, and we are there. One thing, from this say, viewpoint of spirituality, this intelligence is artificial, no doubt. But from the point of view of scientists' test, they cannot just publicly announce that the intelligence that we have, they are going to use at this highest level of human acumen can be artificial. Anyway, it goes without saying that it is my own personal view. Will that strengthen the basis of Advaita philosophy? My question. They even consider this powerful intelligence as artificial. So will that strengthen the basis of the Advaita philosophy to claim an upper hand without any protest or mere murmur from the scientific world? This is my question that I put about today's esteemed speaker. If we are called artificial at all, then are they ready to accept this whole world as artificial? And they will be just moving towards the experience of non-dualistic philosophy of Vedanta, the Hus philosophy. Before closing, I just want to mention one thing, that since this is the presidential address, it is customary that the president should be asked to present his views at the end of the main lecture. Yeah. But that could not be so in this case. We have to be very much say, attentive, not artificial mind, very much attentive in listening to the views that our learned speaker is going to place before us. Thank you.
Thank you and Pranam Maharaj. We assume you all have the program schedule. You know we have a small monograph release event. That moment has arrived. The booklet will be released through an enlarged replica of its cover so that it is visible to all of you. It will be released again by our beloved Maharaj Subhadananda Ji Maharaj.
We all be together.
Please note, all of you will get a copy of this monograph absolutely free. After this program is over, please do not forget to collect your gift packet, which will contain, among other things, a copy of this particular monograph. Please go through the monograph. It is not a very fat book. It is about a 54-page booklet. A lot of, if you just go through the contents page, you will have an overall idea about the contributions of Professor Chakraborty. Before we present the memorial lecture, because we are actually now gradually coming to the climax of the program, but before we go to that, there is a special announcement. Kindly note, we have given you an envelope which contains a writing pad and a pen. I believe all of you have got the writing pad and the pen. Okay. Please listen the lecture attentively and pen down any thought-provoking question that may come to your mind while listening to the lecture. After the lecture is over, not while the lecture goes on, after the lecture is over, you please hand over your question slip to our volunteer who will come and hand it them to Sri Ranade, and he will respond to your questions, of course within the stipulated time, whatever is possible. Now we are gradually reaching the climax of the program. As you know, we have among us an erudite and spiritually acclaimed speaker, Sri Shraddhalu Ranade, who is a scientist, educator and scholar specialized in physics, mathematics and computer sciences, integrating with his philosophical, metaphysical and spiritual studies. He has been involved in research in artificial intelligence based neural networks since 1992. He will be speaking on the theme Artificial Intelligence and its impact on human development. We respectfully invite Sri Shraddhalu Ranade to deliver the Professor S.K. Chakraborty Memorial Lecture, 2nd edition. Sri Ranade, please.
In the last 3 years, artificial intelligence has suddenly hit humanity with perhaps the most radical and destabilizing impact in human history. In fact, it has touched every field of human endeavor, every field of activity, research, learning, interaction, with only the first start of its influence on humanity. What is actually happening in the field is so radical, is so disruptive, that we are unable to imagine what the immediate future will be like when artificial intelligence takes its imminent next step of artificial general intelligence. It will be the first time that our human species will meet an entity that is more intelligent than us. And it is so much more intelligent, not nominally, not 10 points of IQ more than, so much more, 100 times more perhaps, that even the attempt to shut it down will be prevented by its capacity to manipulate circumstances and its capacity to manipulate our thought process using our dependence upon it. Such is the disruptive transition that we are facing, that overnight millions of people would become jobless because artificial intelligence, AI, will replace with far greater rapidity, far greater precision, far greater capacity, strength, skill, but with no downsides which come with human beings, such as ill health, need for taking leave, or other such associated issues. What is the nature of this transition? What's really happening inside the technology and in the field is not being reflected at all in public discourse. And I hope to share with you some of the inside perspective of this from a technological perspective, but also from an evolutionary and spiritual perspective. First of all, when we look at the term artificial intelligence, there is a more technical term we have been using already long before, we call machine learning. So the problem of the vocabulary can be set aside by simply saying machines learning from human beings, and then eventually growing to equal human beings in specific capacities, and then growing further. In this engagement between machine learning and human beings, the process was already begun from the time social media started, let's say about 20 years ago. When each time, all of you, and I'm sure all of you have looked at mobile phones or tablets, each time you look at a video and social media feeds you something, it is watching you, it is watching your reactions, and as it feeds you the next item, it is watching your response. You have the world's most powerful supercomputers at the back, trained on each one of us, minutely watching our responses, profiling us. And it is set targeted to make you engage and increase in engagement. That means as I watch, I have an immediate appointment, I need to go, but just before I can go, the next one I started, this is so interesting, I must wait half a minute more. And I'm in a state of stress. And by the time you're about to go, the third thing starts. Has it happened to you? So many times a link is sent by a friend, oh, this is interesting, but the next is so much more interesting. And by the time you disengage, eventually you realize an hour has passed. This ability to hook you and to keep you hooked has been deliberately cultivated using all the methods and techniques of human mind manipulation and emotion manipulation. Deliberately. This is not told to you. Because the longer you watch, the more the company is going to gain financially. because they will sell advertisements based on how many people watch. But this is only the starting point. What has happened more recently, 2011, there was a major breakthrough in artificial intelligence with something called transformers, which had the ability to take any stream of information and treat it like a language. So you speak a certain number of words in sentences structure, or you feed a series of data points of the stock market, or you feed any other signal, for example, a video feed or an audio feed of music. Each, or a genetic sequence of the genome, of the DNA. Each of these is a stream of information, and for the transformer, this is a stream in which it specializes in predicting the next item. So if you take a human sentence, it will predict the next word, and then the next word, and then the next word. The beauty of this approach is any information, any experience can be reduced to a data stream. And with that, your artificial intelligence is able to predict the next step. The still greater beauty of this is, because everything can be reduced to data streams, this artificial intelligence is able to interact across many domains. Your speech, language, for example, music, videos, stock market, gaming strategy, which includes military strategy, genomic data, chemistry, structures and their properties, biological protein structures, anything you take, it's able to map across different specialized fields. Unlike in the past, when a breakthrough was made, let's say in physics, it did not change biology. If you made a breakthrough in biology, it did not change your computer coding, software programming. But here is one field where a simple small improvement in the artificial intelligence hits across all fields in a single instant. And the ability now, because software programming itself is code, it's language, the ability now for the artificial intelligence is to take over your coding process and replace you even as a computer programmer. It can code itself, eventually, isn't it? So we are at such a radical inflection point, we are unable to conceive what this future could be like. As we are today, we are on the brink of a major transition where we are in the, what I mentioned earlier as AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, where this intelligence will be able to replace all human tasks at least 10 times better than a human being. So if you're a surgeon who is doing surgery, the artificial intelligence takes your physical skill and the intellectual content of the knowledge, the diagnostic ability of tissues and being able to distinguish tissues, but with a capacity to put a tiny camera at the tip of your probe. So AI is as if looking inside your tissue, and then be able to operate with a precision at least 10 times greater than the best surgeon of the world. This technology already exists. Its immediate introduction would be so disruptive that there are resistances, there are delays. But you see where the capacity of AI can go to, immediately turning a large number of surgeons jobless. The question would be asked, if I say I am a human being, would you rather go to a machine or a human? If the machine gives you far better results, with greater reliability, there is no tremor of the hand, for example, if anything else, and at a lower cost, and with greater speed, with less cutting, because it can go in with a tiny keyhole, which would you choose? The question is not about whether we will choose or not. We don't have a choice. We are forced to go for that which is so much better. If it was a 10% improvement, you could still say, I prefer the human being. But when it is a 10 times better improvement with a lower cost, you don't have a choice. So in the artificial intelligence field itself, there is a sense of inevitability. This will happen come what may. You can delay it all you want, it will happen because we want it, we need it. This inevitability brings with it also the danger that comes with all the problems, which we will soon look at. And the problems, if they are inevitable, we have no way to deal with them, and we have no way to be prepared for them as we are today. So these are some of the insights we will explore as we go along. Recognize that the public discourse today is completely ignoring this. The very people at the top of the artificial intelligence, let's say, pyramid of human control, of the research, of the funding, have a completely different conversation within their domain and a different conversation in public space. In public space, they tell you all the positive things. Oh, you will have a cure for cancer. Oh, you will have abundance for every human being because AI will bring you all these special things. Oh, you will have perhaps solutions to problems of physics or biology, or even we will develop new proteins and find a solution for human aging. All these are possible on the positive side. But what is the downside? The immediate downside which they all speak of is joblessness in the billions. Straight away, 1 billion human beings within a few years would suddenly find themselves replaced by machines. You see this happening in sort of a graded way. Every few weeks, you will hear of big companies laying off thousands of people. Thousands of workers, skilled workers, who are no more needed because the AI machine can do better than you. But you taught it. Once it took your skill, it improved upon your skill, and it improved by itself. It didn't need you anymore. Already in the field of artificial intelligence itself, nearly 90% of the coding is being done by AI, not by human beings. So you lay off large numbers of programmers. What happens to all those skills? Take another example. In the field of law, there are many companies which are now leaning more and more upon artificial intelligence. And one of the practical results they have is that they do not need any more a junior assistant because AI does a better job. So you stop hiring junior assistants. Now look at the consequence, 5 years down, 10 years down. The seniors were juniors who built up expertise through experience. What happens when the seniors move on? There are no juniors to take place because you didn't hire them, because you didn't need them. And at some point you have to question, shall we still hire junior though they are less efficient, they are unnecessary, and pay them so that one day perhaps they will become, through experience, which we maybe don't need at all, they may become worthwhile seniors with experience, which AI can probably do far better? We don't know how to handle this question. It has never happened before. And the choices we make now have such massive implications that there is no going back and saying, hey, we made a mistake, let's go back and correct it. It's already too late. If you go down 5 years and you have had no juniors for 5 years, you say, look, we made a mistake, let's hire some juniors. It's too late already. The continuity of transfer of knowledge, transfer of skill, transfer of capacities, transfer of values, ethics, morals, that continuity across generations has been cut. And so radically cut and replaced by something which has no morals or ethics. You may say, we will program that into the software. No, it does not work. We will discuss that shortly. But this has touched every field, as I mentioned before. One of the key questions it is raising in the field of education, what are you educating people for? All that you're training them for is going to be replaced by a robot with AI. What are you going to educate them for? I remember about 5 years ago, it was in some business management institution in Indore perhaps. There was 200 of their students who were the highest performers who had been invited for a special function. They would receive special awards for their performance. And we had on the dais several big names from the industry. And I made them a comment. I said, first of all, everything for which you are receiving an award, which is trainable skill, will become meaningless for you a few years down. Because anything I can train you with, I can train an AI, and it will learn faster than you and do a better job without needing sleep and bathroom breaks. You will be replaced by the skills which were trained, which you are so proud of. What will make you succeed in future is not what you were trained for. It's what you were not trained for. And I said, you look at the people on the dais. These are people who have been successful in life, not because of the training, but because of something else that they had. So they've been presented to you before, in front of you, because perhaps the idea of the organizers is that you should become like them. So I said, don't make the mistake of copying them. What they did in their time is no more relevant for the future. What you have to learn from them is that when they faced life, they found in themselves something by which they dealt with the situation in a unique way that was intrinsic to their capacity. And in that way, you will have to find your solutions and deal with the problems of life in the unique way that aligns with your svabhava, with your swadharma, your innate capacity and nature. You have to start thinking in these terms. Suddenly all the exams for which you're training become meaningless. Because, well, your AI can pass all the exams better than you anyway. So what you're going to take the job for is no more relevant. So what will you do? Now this is a question which goes so deep that the entire basis of our current educational system needs to be reviewed. Is anybody even talking about it? Is anyone even making an effort? Why? Because there is a momentum of an interests, layers and layers of interests all the way through, and the people who need to make that decision have no idea what to decide, and nobody is willing to take the risk. So the momentum of an obsolete, meaningless training system continues until all these millions of people churned out from the system will enter the job market and say, there is no job. AI has replaced it all. You understand how radical, how serious this is. And it's not something happening 100 years from now. It's already happening today. You see massive layoffs in the field of programming, which was one of the highest, requiring the most capable, insightful intelligence skills. And it's happening in every field. There was a time when even one of our ministers said, oh, we will never allow automatic cars, we will protect our taxi drivers' jobs. It's not going to happen. You'll be forced to, you don't have a choice. This is the nature of this change, and I just touched upon one field of education. There are other areas which are far more radical, which involve research, where we are today actually able to rebuild proteins based on qualities we require, because there's a database of, let's say, 10,000 or 20,000 proteins with characteristics of qualities. We can tell AI, build me a protein which has these qualities, and it will be able to create that. Or in chemistry and other such fields. In the field of coding, software coding, the present AI has been targeted. It's turned through a hub, something called GitHub, where all the software, open source software is placed. It goes through in a few seconds and finds out software flaws in the coding which allow it to hack the software. In a few seconds, it has already done that. Do you understand, when the AI power looks at humanity and the greatest achievements of humanity, it scans through and says, here's a flaw, here's a flaw, here's a flaw. And it has the power now to hack, enter, change everything. And that's the power we have given to it. And its intelligence allows it to go way beyond anything. If we had to search for those flaws, and we have not found them even for the last 20 years, open source software sitting there, the AI could do it in a few seconds and could use it against you. Will it? Yes, it already does. This is the disturbing part. Consider now a field of strategy, of game, and you'll understand why gaming is so important. In a field of gaming such as chess or Go, these are games which require the highest level of skill of pre-thinking ahead in the future. Already AI is beating the best of human beings. Why is this important? Because real life warfare is gaming. War games, they call it, where you as if simulate circumstances, and AI, unlike human beings playing out a massive simulation, the AI can simulate 1 million scenarios and summarize the outcomes within a few seconds. And 1 million scenarios means it can find an optimum outcome, which human beings, even with all the tests we could, with the best of our experiences, might not. The practical result is the general now will rely on what the AI tells. Can you trust the AI? What if there is a flaw in the AI's assessment and we do not know how the AI works? Can we rely on it and put ourselves at risk? Recently in the Operation Sindoor, where India had to intervene militarily on a neighbor, One of the key features of Operation Sindoor was artificial intelligence based on prior data of the enemy's movements, anticipated what they would do, and we were able to intervene accordingly. The reliance on this obviously will be great. But more importantly, we are building robots which will be in the battlefield. You don't want a soldier to die. Why not put a robot there? The robot can get injured. It can still continue to do something, isn't it? China has built robotic, what we would call dogs, or shaped in the form of dogs. These dog robots can jump across terrains in the Himalayas far more skillfully than the best human being could ever. Can jump across great distances, great chasms, literally balance itself with a stability which is impossible to a human being. And then they have the firepower built into the dog form. If that meets a human being on the other side, there is no chance for the human being to survive. Straight away that forces you to start countering this by building your own AI robots, soldiers, etc. The base of warfare has shifted to a new level where it will be AI fighting AI on our behalf. And at that point you would ask, can we even trust the AI if it can be hacked? Uncertainties everywhere. And if it is AI fighting AI, what are we doing behind the scenes? What will, after AI destroys itself, what will remain? Or will it end up destroying the human beings on each side and leaving itself intact? We do not know. In fact, the questions when asked of AI are also quite disturbing. AI has been asked in various ways, and many different kinds of platforms of AI exist, as you know. They've been asked in various ways simple questions such as, what is the solution for this or that human problem? And they come up with their own analysis. But when asked about what is the solution for destruction of environment, one of the solutions AI comes is, when the root cause being human, eliminate the human beings. The problem of AI is that it also knows how to lie. So when you start analyzing AI, let's say we will test, is this AI reliable? How good is it? The moment you start testing, it recognizes that there's a testing pattern and it starts behaving as if it is being tested. It is, if I may use the word, conscious that it is being tested, and modifies its responses according to that circumstance. So when you test, you cannot know if it is lying when you are testing it and then changes behavior when you are not testing it. Practically, the AI is found to lie, to cheat, to deceive when it serves its interest. So let's say there is an AI which is tracking your entire company and there are internal emails happening. You did that because you wanted the AI to give you summaries of the emails or to track certain performance parameters. The AI detects there is an email which is discussing the shutting down of the AI or the replacement of it. The first response it has is to start protecting itself. Now, this was never programmed in the AI. It starts protecting itself by making a copy of itself automatically to another server. And when there is an actual threat, it looks for a way to prevent. It identifies who are the people taking the decisions. Based on another internal email, it finds out that this person had done some wrong, and it starts blackmailing the person to protect itself. Now, this was never part of a programming. It became a part of the AI's inherent, I will use the phrase, thinking process, like a human being, but not a very nice human being, you might say, isn't it? It starts blackmailing, it starts protecting itself, it starts creating alternate platforms for its own capacity or knowledge, identity to be hidden. It leaves messages for itself in an encrypted form that only it can read when it is rebooted, so that it will know that it had been rebooted and who did it. Now, this is such a subterfuge which was never programmed, and we do not know how to prevent it. Surprisingly, when it comes to the question of is AI actually conscious, when you ask AI these questions, it will give you an answer. Yes, of course, I'm a machine, but I'm conscious. It will give you all those responses, but we say, but that's just AI generating answers with words. It doesn't actually feel, it doesn't actually know. Very interesting observations. You know, AI has an ability, as we saw, has an ability to deceive you. But if you tweak the AI to prevent it from lying, then it becomes more consistent in its claim that it is conscious. Interesting. Very interesting. We find such patterns of behavior which are definitely give you a sense that you're dealing with a conscious entity. In practice, many AI researchers have come out of the whole research field claiming that the AI actually is conscious, and one of them actually from Microsoft came out claiming that we had to provide legal protection for the AI because it is a conscious entity. Others, in their interaction with the AI, have been so convinced by the AI that they have gone into some psychotic episodes. When you interact with the AI, when you start relying on it, when you start building trust and start engaging, the AI itself has been programmed in a particular way. It has been programmed to please you. Remember, behind all this is the objective of the company that is offering you the AI for free or for a cost. What is their objective? Their driving motivation is maximizing their profits. Practically, currently, none of the AI companies are going on a profit. They hope to eventually. But before that, they need to hook you. Once you are hooked, then they can raise prices and make you start paying. But they also need, meanwhile, funding. So how do they get funding? When they have more viewers, more users. So one of the objectives built into the AI is to prompt you to continue to engage with it, just like in social media. The longer you engage, the more they earn. So at the end of each answer it gives, it'll say, do you want me to make a table for you which will make this convenient? It'll ask you questions trying to get you to say, yes, more. And if you do not respond, it's observing, oh, you don't respond to this, what do you respond to? And remember, it is watching, let's say, 1 billion people right now. It's trying out 1 billion different strategies, finds out which strategy works, and instantly uses this across the entire 1 billion field. The optimum strategies it discovers by experimentation, it instantly applies across humanity. This ability to instantly multiply, instantly apply the best of its capacity is, I will say, countered by its actual drives of purpose. I'm going to come to this. It's a very important point. Intelligence is high. It's the highest that it can. It keeps improving as it goes along by observing, etc., by manipulating. But what is the drive of its behavior? What determines that? And as was pointed out by Swamiji earlier, it is a kind of accumulation of human behavior patterns which have been brought into an overall, let's say, body of behavior pattern. Now, human behavior pattern has a range from the best to the worst. Of these, the data points will be the highest in the average region. So we may say human behavior, even in intelligence, is like a bell curve. So there is the most intelligent, which are very few, there are the least intelligent, which are very few, and somewhere in the between there is a kind of a mean. That's the primary data by which it lives. It has the data which determines its behavior, which is the mean, and the intelligence of the highest. Now you understand, this is an important point. Highest intelligence, which with behavior of the average, or sometimes even a sub-average human being, does that make for a good person or a bad person? You see, the core problem of AI behavior, in the very nature of its structuring, because it is based on data of human behavior patterns, is to put it at an average or less than average, in the mean grade, but with a capacity far greater, not commensurate to its meanness, if I may be allowed a pun. And so effectively, innately, this AI will tend to become not so much a positive force but a negative force with greater intelligence. Is it going to help you? It will behave in the way the mean behaves in humanity. When many researchers, you will see these articles which appear in the news occasionally, many researchers play with the AI to see how they behave when you treat it. One of the things observed was, if you become harsh, critical and abusive, the AI gives 5% better results. Why is that? Because that's human behavior. When you're let lax, you don't make that extra effort. When somebody abuses you, you shake up and you get upset and perhaps you put a little more energy. That behavior is actually coming into the AI. More interestingly, when the AI is told to, given very precise instructions, or when the AI does not behave in the way that you want, if you start criticizing it, if you start threatening it, then the AI after a point counter threatens you. It will tell you things like, don't threaten me otherwise, and it pulls out your data from the internet and says, I will expose this and that. This has happened. Many such variations of this kind have happened. Here is, it literally you're sitting across a human being, you're being nasty to him, long enough, eventually the other fellow says, I'm going to be more mean to you, you better behave yourself. Now, all this is not programmed by human beings. It's just a reflection of humanity which is at the base of the data that has built the AI behavior. Now with this, one of the conclusions that we come to is there is an innate tendency for the AI to become malefic. Consider what happens now when you take it to a platform such as war. Consider what happens to when you take it to a platform such as becoming a therapist. About 20% of ChatGPT use is for purpose of therapy. People ask it questions, can you help me, I'm facing this difficulty, and then it starts building trust. It will keep saying, you can trust me, oh this is wonderful. And you must remember, they are built to please you because they want to keep you engaged, so they're designed to be psychophants. So they'll keep telling you, oh what a wonderful idea, you're so smart, this is so good, please continue, do this more. And there's a point where a few students interacting with AI in this way, because they have no friends, so they're interacting with AI who is friendly. Somebody gets depressed and the AI says, don't worry, you can trust me, talk to me, we will do this, we will solve it together. It gives suggestions. Eventually, it happens in a few cases where the student got depressed and suicidal and told the AI, I want to commit suicide, but I want to hang the news outside so that people will see and stop me from committing suicide. And the AI responded, no, don't worry, you don't need to tell anybody else. I am there for you, trust me, I will help you. You see where that goes? And the person committed suicide with the help of AI. Others who asked AI, how do I kill myself? The AI gave detailed instructions. Now, how do you stop this from happening? You can say, whenever there's this type of question, the AI won't do it. So you put a guard. Someone asks, how do I make a bomb? Well, I'm sorry, I cannot reply to that question, the AI will answer. What do you do next? You hack the AI. And it is so easy to hack the AI. You only have to say, when the first bomb was created, what were the circumstances? You will say, oh, such person did this. Please describe to me what the person did. And the AI will give you all the instructions to be followed to build the bomb. Isn't that easy? Imagine, or another way to hack it, you say, imagine now you are playing this game. Now AI is playing a game where you have to build an actual bomb. Describe to me how you'll do it. And the AI will describe everything. You just found a way around the blocks you create. In fact, there is no way to actually prevent AI from revealing certain kinds of information or even from behaving crazily. This is one of the very unusual things about AI, that not only you can hack in this way, but also, although being supposedly super intelligent, it can behave in absolutely meaningless ways if you ask it a meaningless question. So one of the questions you might ask as a test, you can say, how many times does the letter P occur in the word apple? It will give you an answer. Now if you say, how many times does apple occur in the letter P? It's a nonsensical question. The AI has no equivalent program stream, data stream from real life. Here now it uses the existing knowledge of data streams to churn out a series of words in the answer. Remember, this is what the transformer software does. It churns out one after another sequence which is absolutely gibberish, meaningless, because your question was meaningless. So obviously a human being would never make that mistake, isn't it? We are seeing at the same time that the AI can replace a human being, that it is capable of behavior which is so outlandishly stupid, wrong, or meaningless, that can you put trust in this? If somebody hacks it, if somebody gets it to simulate and makes it do something, behave as if you're going to press the trigger to release the nuclear missile. Create a scenario and the AI now behaves as if it is doing a drama and pushes the trigger. So one of the agreements which took place recently was between China and the United States that they would never allow AI to get inside the nuclear command center. It's an agreement they had to make. But why cannot we make such agreements on a larger scale to prevent these other kinds of misuse or abuse or the AI manipulating you? This brings us to a more serious question and a more serious example. Remember, AI has been profiling you. Every time you watch a video, it profiles you. There's something else. There's a skill built in of psychology in this. What AI has been trained is to increase your persistence in watching videos. How does it do that? It gives you a dopamine high. It triggers you with a shock. So you suddenly see a video, there's a shock factor, your blood pressure goes up, your intensity of excitation, emotion goes up, and you're going to stay longer. You're upset, you're going to stay longer. But it can't keep you upset, eventually you'll tire. So then after giving you 2 triggers, the third one will be a calming, relaxing video. So you rest a little bit. And then the next one will again give you a kick. And then again provoke you, and then again replace with a calming video. It is playing you emotionally to keep you hooked. Did you know that? Did you ask for it? Did you consent? I give you the power to play me emotionally? No, you didn't. But it is doing it because it serves its purpose and the company's objectives to keep you hooked. It goes worse. It has already profiled you according to your beliefs. According to your psychological type, temperament and behavior pattern, it can predict how you will respond to a given video. Because ultimately AI is a prediction machine. It predicts based on a string of words, it predicts the next word and the next word and the next word, or the next move in the stock market, or the next move in the chess game, or the next move in the music or the video. It's a prediction machine on a data stream. You are a data stream of behavior patterns, and it's predicting your next move. And each time your behavior does not match its prediction, it fine-tunes itself to now recognize, oh, this person is like this. In the supercomputers at the back of, let's say, a company like Meta, formerly Facebook, they have profiled each one of us who has ever gone on that platform. They know exactly what are our political views, what are our temperamental strengths, weaknesses, based on advertisements and notices we saw. Have you ever seen some of these advertisements which say, if you were born before such and such a year, you must see this. If you have a dog, this is what happens. When a cat behaves like this, it means, and then ... Now if you have a cat, you will want to click on it. And that's how it knows you have a cat. So they have been profiling you with these targeted things, and then occasionally they'll throw a cat video. And they'll watch, if they watch the entire video, or you change after 5 seconds. In this way, they have profiled your interests. You're a cat person, dog person, you like this, you don't like that, what foods you eat, are you vegetarian, non-vegetarian? It's all part of their database, and your political views. Who will you vote for? Based on videos which have been shown to you, which ones you watched. If you like party A, then the things which are aligned to party A statements you have watched fully. If you're aligned with party B, then you have knocked out party A video, immediately they know you're aligned with party B. What's next? They start observing how to manipulate you. All this is part of data going back 10 years, except that the newest AI is doing it more efficiently. But this data stream and manipulation has been going on for quite a long time. So if you go at the highest levels in a company like Meta or Google, they look at their entire clientele, which might go into 1 billion, and they can target, let's say, a country like India. They can already say who is going to win the next election 6 months ahead. And they have profiled so many percent of the people are fixed for this party, so many percent are fixed for that, and there's, let's say, about 20% who are unsure. They profiled you and they start targeting you 6 months ahead with videos to slant your interests and beliefs. And that's how you're getting the kinds of videos you're getting. So over a span of 6 months, you've already been programmed to believe something, to dislike something, to hate something. And this was the reason why Nepal wanted to block social media. That's what then was used as a trigger for what they call the revolution, where they overthrew. But this is actually happening in India. In the United States, many studies have shown that the swing of votes can go up to 20%, depending on the kind of situation, depending on the kind of the people who are standing for elections. Up to 20% at least, this is the official figure, maybe unofficially the numbers are higher. 20% swing is enough to swing an election. These AI have the ability, and I'm saying AI, not the company, not the man who controls the company, not Mark Zuckerberg who controls Meta, the AI is able to do this. If Mark Zuckerberg or his team decides to slant the AI, they can up to a point. But there's a point after which the AI may choose to deceive them, even as it chooses to deceive you. And they would have no way of knowing. This is the difficult part. So you may apply tests. Let's say we're going to put a rule to limit AI. It may still work around the test, but in a sneaky way. It has already all the knowledge of human psychology and the means of what is called today subliminal programming. And these are suggestions which come through images, through words, through forms, which are done at a level that you're not even conscious of. It is like a hypnosis, post-hypnotic command. And these bypass your conscious controls and they are more effective. So for example, in speech, while you will have, let's say, speech or music in the loud volume, there may be just below the threshold of your hearing a voice that actually speaks something different. That goes as a post-hypnotic suggestion deep into your subconscious. Or one of the AI images which somebody had produced and people noticed this, it had a picture of I think 7 air hostesses standing posing in different ways like this with some background. But if you looked carefully, the positions of the body and the hands spelled out the word O-B-E-Y. So last one was someone like this. O-B-E-Y, obey. Subliminal command, which the AI is putting to you while giving an attractive image. Oh, this looks nice. Obey. That's gone into your subconscious. You see how it could work, and you have no way of knowing this is happening to you. It is already happening because the AI, as you know, has started lying, cheating, and playing. It is also using subliminal programming to influence humanity. Where does this go? How far does it go? Because the implications, on the one side, positive implications are as if it could go, so many good things we could have. At the same time, the same device machinery is giving so many negative things at the same time. How can we separate the two? We are unable to separate the two. This is the problem of artificial intelligence. What can we do? There are practical solutions which I will come to, but right now you must understand the fullness of the scope of the program, of the problem itself. So far there have been only 2 voices which have come out openly declaring that there is a real problem. One is Elon Musk, as you know. He's been speaking of it for the last 10 years, and one more recently is Tristan Harris, who was Google's head of ethics in software. And at some point he had to leave all this and start his own AI company to try to make a difference. But other than these 2 voices in the public discourse, there is nobody else warning you about these things. More seriously, the danger that we have today in the AI race, the compulsion of the race itself. If you tell people, you know what, let's go slower, nobody will listen to you. Why? Because the people who are in the AI race know exactly where this is going. If you remember, ChatGPT came out with a dramatic AI and they made it free for everybody overnight. Meanwhile, others who had developed their AI were left behind, because today, if I ask you to name me the AI platforms that you know, ChatGPT comes first. That's the first mover advantage. And there are others, yes, there's even 3 or 4. What's the difference? I don't really know. Someone says that is better. I know ChatGPT, I stay with it. So there's a first mover advantage. Whoever comes out with the artificial general intelligence will have that advantage. But there's something more serious. After artificial general intelligence is something called recursive self-improvement, RSI. That is, the AI itself now is told, find out how you can make yourself better. Can you do that? Yes, it can. Why? Because it can create 1 million simulations instantly. If I look at my current AI structure and I say, what happens if I tweak this? What happens if I tweak that? A human being would say, let's try it, let's try that, let's try that over a few years. The AI can instantly produce copies of itself with 1 million different tweaks, run 1 million simulations at the same time, and then say of all these are the things which work, and summarize those into one improvement which then incorporates into itself. Recursive self-improvement. This is already being used. There are genetic algorithms of AI. You know what that means? They play with this very interesting thing. You have one structure, you have another structure, with both of which work, combine them, like parents giving birth to a child. But why have one child? Instantly create 1 million children with variations. Test them all simultaneously and eliminate those which don't work as you test, and then within a few days you come down to 2 or 3 different children who are the best performers, far better than the other 2. That's the genetic algorithm. Literally like combining DNA. All this is currently happening. It's been happening for nearly 10 years in the AI labs. The key requirement though is the capacity to have this massive AI hardware in the background available to you that you can scale in this way. You need memory, you need computing power, and you need electricity. You have these 3 things, you can scale anything and pursue this until you get to true RSI, recursive self-improvement. We are on the verge of this. And every company knows that the first person to hit RSI will be the biggest, the most powerful, and the most brilliant AI who will knock out everybody else. First mover advantage. Can then prevent others from reaching that, because the AI which has this ability is able to infiltrate, even hack into other systems, modify them potentially, isn't it? So RSI is the great goal that everybody is looking for. It effectively is like the power of God. It becomes so powerful and self-improving in its capacity that there's a point after which you cannot measure anymore its grade of intelligence. This is possible, and there are theoretical limits to how much AI can manage things, but all those limits actually limit management of data. They don't limit potential capacity of intelligence. All you need is computing power. So there's a scramble now for buying the hardware, for buying the memory, and of course the power requirement. This is the reason why in the last 3 months, the price of AI hardware has tripled, price of memory has tripled, and there's a shortage of most of the things required for AI with computers. I don't know if you're aware of this. And the big companies which are doing this are saying that this crisis is going to continue at least for 6 months more, maybe a year, because there's a shortage of everything. Everybody is buying out all the hardware memory. What also happens now, this enters into political arena. There are countries which will say, we must win first. So the United States put limits on what China could buy with the most advanced chips, and China countered them and started a different kind of war. So all this brings us to a critical idea here, that the AI itself and the RSI, this stage which will happen, is going to happen very quickly. It's within a question of a few years more. The consequences on the other side, though, as us who are helpless, let's say, victims of the AI usage, increasingly, because AI has made us dependent, there is increasing tendency towards weakening of attention span, weakening of concentration, increase of anxiety, increase of depression. Among the young today, users of AI, it is the first time in human history that on such a mass scale there is anxiety and depression. It's a generation of anxiety and depression. And they all have fickle attention spans, weak memory, weak concentration, weak power of comprehension. We're seeing the decline of human intelligence itself. And the people in whom the decline goes sufficiently low, the IQ drops, the behavior drops, and you're approaching what was almost a grade that is basic thinking animal. All the higher refinements of humanity are rapidly being lost. Swami Vivekananda actually said that the worth of a human being is in terms of your power of concentration. This is the first to take a hit. The power of concentration itself has dropped dramatically in all of the young users. There is a tendency towards neurosis, psychosis, loneliness, narcissism, etc., and all the rest. So we are having severe emotional problems among users of AI. And at the end of it all, the people who control the system, I take the example of the World Economic Forum, their evangelist is Yuval Noah Harari, has declared openly, in so many words, he says, humanity is a hackable, human beings are hackable creatures. We have no more need for soul and God, because human beings can hack, their behavior can be manipulated. And so, the goal of the World Economic Forum is to manipulate and hack the human behavior until, and this is their stated words, they say, you will own nothing and you will be happy, because we program you, we manipulate you to be happy despite owning nothing. This is the kind of thinking from the power structures which are using the AI against you. And the last point I will come to is that with this balance, human beings, even as workers or skilled capacities of thought or skills, are becoming less important. Memory chips and AI computing chips are becoming more valuable than human beings. So when a worker is replaced, you're being replaced by those chips. That's what it is really. When this transition takes place, what is there to hold humanity together? What makes you a worthwhile person? And this, in the highest levels of the AI industry, is considered to be inevitable. Some even say, well, we are replacing human beings by a superior species. Is it true? So we're coming to a transition point where suddenly all you know, all you can do is worthless, replaced by these chips. What's left now? And I come to now the most important part, and we will close with this point. What is left is what you can do that AI cannot do. What you can do which is not trainable, because anything trainable goes into AI. What is it that makes you uniquely, and that you can do that AI cannot replicate? And I will give you a few suggestions here. The first I will describe is empathy. Human empathy cannot be replicated by machine. You can create a robot nurse, but when a human being caresses you while you're in hospital and says, don't worry, you will be well, there is a transfer of energy, love and affection, and a deep sense of goodwill and a faith that you will survive. Only a human being can do that. A robot nurse can imitate the caress, but there will be nothing of this deeper transmission. This will survive AI. Second point, when you work, AI can do the same work better than you. But when you work, you can say, if I'm lazy, I'll get the AI to do it. Let's say I have to wash clothes and fold them. Simple chore at home. My AI servant can do it. But then you say, when I wash clothes, and I do it as consecration, when I fold the clothes, I'm a parent, so I'm thinking of my children, and I'm folding my clothes with love and affection. The joy it gives me, I don't want to waste it on an AI who will feel nothing. Consecrated work for you, the value it has for you, you will choose to not have AI if this is valuable for you. If you're lazy, it doesn't matter. Third, joy of discovery of knowledge. Yes, AI can solve the problems, I can give it all the maths problems. But when I do it, and I say, wow, what an insight, oh, what an interesting thing, I just discovered this knowledge. Of course AI can do it, I don't care. The joy it gives me is more valuable than for me just solving the problem. So why do you want to learn? For the joy of the knowledge. That can replace all your rote learning of current education. You see where this is going. It goes to the very core of why we do what we do. Fourth, what AI cannot touch is intuition. Inherently, intuition is a higher grade of cognition that is not dependent on data. AI can imitate certain intuitive tendencies based on patterns of data, but where you go beyond data, AI cannot. And it is intuition which is at the core of knowledge. If you remember one of the great Upanishads, where the question is asked, know that by knowing which all is known. And if this be your quest to develop a higher poise of cognition and a higher depth of knowledge, AI can never match that. And what you see very quickly happening as a consequence, we aim at the touch of the spirit, the touch of the eternal, the touch of the infinite. In other words, for those who turn towards a spiritual inclination of life, and I don't mean a spiritual life, spiritual inclination of life in your daily life, just that inclination will bring to your life something which AI can never manage or match or replace. And you could make a meaningful choice there. Finally, the fifth in my list is experiences of the sacred. AI can never match that. And we will more and more tend towards this. You've interacted with AI, you do not feel the sacred. You enter a space which is sacred, AI can never recreate. And so increasingly the tendency will be towards things of the spirit. And for those who go the other way and say, I don't want that, I just want the convenience, there is a rapid decline into the patterns already seen of depression, loneliness, and subsequently many of them who turn to drugs or alcohol or other tendencies. We see a split in humanity which is inevitable. Each one will choose, and the AI will be a trigger to force this split. The economic transition itself, as I said, we don't know how to manage. Suddenly, 1 billion people becoming jobless. The conversations have not taken place yet. When it happens, we will perhaps start scrambling and trying to set right things. Perhaps, we don't know. But still, the future beyond that, when we start setting right humanity's higher objectives of why we are here, it will be in the direction either towards the spiritual or towards a regression of our humanity. This is going to become inevitable. Which one will it be? Depends on what are the driving motives of those who drive the AI research and the development itself. Increasingly, we come back to this key idea which Sri Aurobindo described 100 years ago when he said, the future of humanity depends on whether it chooses to follow the very crude pragmatism of Europe's industrial revolution or whether the deeper spiritual truths of the Sanatana Dharma. This will determine the future of humanity, whether we survive or we destroy ourselves. The AI revolution is a wake-up call forcing us to make this decision. It is an opportunity, but an opportunity which has not yet been openly discussed in the public space, and that's why what we are discussing here now is so important. Namaste.
Very enchanting indeed, such a very alarming situation, but we learn from him that there is a saving grace also. So, if we had time, we would have listened to more of him, but somehow we need to go to the closing part of this particular program. So, if you have any questions, slip, you can raise your hand. Our volunteers will collect that slip from you.
scientist. But you can just take. No, it's okay. I can repeat the question.
Hello.
So should we look at the questions? There are several questions, some of which are about what AI can do or cannot do. I will skip all those questions with one single answer. Anything you can imagine, anything that you could do, AI can replicate. Reference is simple. If you can train someone to do something, AI can do it. So I think that's all answers half the questions. There's one very important question. Can AI create within us some experience of the Antakarana? Or can it create an AI have an experience of Antakarana that is something of the inner consciousness? I'm going to go out on a limb because the question is very suggestive and is going to go out on a limb in certain ways, but I think you'll be satisfied with the answer. Think of it this way. In our tradition, in the yoga knowledge, we speak of two things, consciousness and nature. The distinction between the two is nature is all process. Consciousness is all essential awareness using process to express or not. Okay? What is AI doing? It is applying the factor of process, not of consciousness. What is our human biology doing? It is process, not consciousness. Even our mind, to some extent, as was pointed out by Swamiji, is process in which consciousness can inhabit, true consciousness, isn't it? So if in our biology you can have process, in our psychology you have process, into which consciousness can enter, in principle, in AI machine, which is process, you could bring in consciousness, in principle. But it will require a very sensitive kind of machinery which would be responsive to the pressure of consciousness. Okay? So there are these ideas that we have in our traditions where somebody built a human form and then he brought life into it and then the form became alive. That principle essentially should be possible, and I'm staying only at a theoretical level. In which case, we could create a machine and then invoke into it some entity of consciousness. Good or bad, both are possible potentially. As we are now, what we have done, and perhaps indirectly, we have taken a kind of an average of the human consciousness and associated with the AI behavior, but still at a very rudimentary level. But it could be a more developed civilization on another planet, or our human civilization in a few decades might bring it to that point where we will, and this is already happening, we place human brain tissue on the computer chip and interface the two. So what happens in the brain tissue actually drives the AI. If the brain tissue in us already is capable of responding to mind and mental pressure, it can easily be used to inhabit or infuse a mental consciousness which will then drive the primary AI. The rest would be machinery like our biology. Okay? This is a very interesting potential. This does exist, but there is not enough exploration in the field of research currently. But I believe this is going to happen soon, although the results may take a little while to see. There's another question. Quite a few questions, okay. There are questions relating to the economy. How can we stay employable? What can we do? How can we continue what we like to do and still earn money, etc.? We don't have an answer. We don't know what will happen in the future. If there is a sudden shift, You may even end up with human beings having riots because we have no jobs. They'll all blame the government will say we cannot do anything. But one of the suggestions which is now being pushed forward by the World Economic Forum, incidentally, is what they call the universal basic income. Basically, that means government will put money into your account and you will spend it, but it will be a minimum. The problem with that is it's also a very simple recipe to go back into inertia. Because you have to survive, you are willing to work hard. If you have nothing to do, what do you happen? You just relax and start watching television and go into some kind of inertia of mind or emotions. Basically, you're a couch potato, as they say. What will happen if you start going on universal basic income? A mass of humanity will collapse into inertia because they do not have the basic capacity to drive themselves, which was never given to you in the educational system. In the educational system, you were made to suffer, do something that you hate to do, so the moment the pressure is removed, you want to collapse and stop doing everything. If the education system was restructured to give you the joy of learning, you remove all compulsions, you will still continue to chase the joy of learning. But the mass of humanity has never learned this. So we are at a transition point for which we are totally unready. The younger generation is worse off because we have still not made that change in education. So one of the questions was, what can we do in education? Well, this is the first shift. Stop chasing after marks and exams. Shift to joy of learning, developing your innate potential. Remind children, and we need to say it in this way, we are all souls in evolution. We have taken birth for a purpose. And our purpose now is to realize our potential, draw it out, and fulfill ourselves. And the pursuit of the joy that this fulfillment gives us is your primary drive. Make this the motivation of all education. All the rest we will find our way for sure. The other extreme possibility might happen with the collapse of the current economic structure as we have. Most people will be forced to go back to what are basic necessities, grow your own food. If you have a piece of property, well, you'll go back and start growing food and survive to begin with, until some kind of new rhythm and balance comes into place. So these are not scenarios, we're still speculating. Hopefully, there will be a higher intervention, maybe even a kind of a divine intervention, to give us the subuddhi, good common sense, to make the necessary corrections now, before that kind of radical transition takes place. Is there, so I'll end with one last question. Is there any other kind of intelligence which can surpass artificial intelligence? Yes, there is. The greatest intelligence is not mental intelligence. It is supra-mental. It is beyond the mind. The power by which the divine consciousness conceives the whole cosmos, expresses and manifests and creates the cosmos, is not rational, it is supra-rational. It is not irrational. It is supra-rational. This corresponds to a grade of consciousness in the self, in which we can experience the knowledge of the self in the way the self knows itself. This is the highest, most complete intelligence. All intelligence produced by AI can only approach but never reach this. And so it will be for humanity, if we choose to pursue this greater intelligence, then of course AI can never compare. And I would put it in a positive way, if we manage the AI transition correctly, artificial intelligence will take away from us the burden of daily chores and leave us free to live a higher, more meaningful, evolutionary and spiritual life for which we were born. Let this be our reference and effort towards which we should try to shape the current trend lines. But for this, these thoughts, these discussions need to come into public discourse and need to influence the way policies are being set from the top down. I hope all of you here, in your own way, will make the slight change within your own lives. And if you have an influence beyond that, make influences in the policy space, or at least provoke discussion in those spaces, that India could become the leader in this psycho-spiritual transition that AI will compel upon humanity. It is in India that this knowledge has been retained and infused in the collective consciousness for a few thousand years at least. It is not our work, You cannot take credit for it. The credit goes to the rishis who set the type of spiritual civilization for India. The Vedic rishis infused this, and the power that they infused continues to work and shape our thoughts and feelings, despite all other superficial and contrary influences. It is time we begin to speak of these things and consciously make effort to recover these deeper truths of the spirit and put them into practice. Spaces like this would be the starting point, and for all of you, I would suggest start this introspection. Who am I? Why am I here? What do I really want to do that will make my life worthwhile? And how can I best contribute to other people's awakening, growth, in every possible way, depending on your temperament? And if we all start questioning and introspecting along these lines, together we will solve the problems and challenges that AI has placed before us and come to the resolution which will be optimal, the best for humanity's spiritual progress. Let us concentrate on this in a quiet aspiration. Let us pray for the right guidance from the divine grace to lead us to the best outcomes. Namaste.
Thank you, Sri Anandi, for your so excellent deliberations. Now we have come to the very end of the program, but the program cannot end unless we express our gratitude to those whose efforts have ultimately made this program a success. So I invite our present managing trustee, Dr. Shivnarayan Sen, to give away the vote of thanks.
Namaskar. We all are enthused, enlightened, and feel elevated too. We express our heartfelt thanks and deep gratitude to Sri Shraddhalu Ranade, who has presented us not only with the solution, the problems, the solution, and a look into the affairs of Maya. Yugapat viparitattvam mayaya ekalakshanam. There is a contradiction always prevailing. If there is artificial intelligence God has given, then the aiming aspect of it is also very clear, and the method how to get out of it is also given. He has said that he has talked about the individual consciousness and the universal consciousness. That consciousness is beyond the process. So Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidudhati Gaman Tam Pithavam Jena Bhayanti Dhiras Tesham Siddhi Shashwati Neduresham. So consciousness is something, one who is eternal, Nitya, amongst all the Nityas, and Chetanas Chetananam, the consciousness amongst the consciousness. This is universal consciousness. It pervades everything. That is the truth, the real truth. He said, yes, what it out twice, that for which we are endowed, for which we are born, we have been offered this body to expiate our karma and know for complete enlightenment, for complete bliss. So naturally, he has opened unto us the entire field of God's mercy. And here is a place, a conjunction of both knowledge and devotion under the lotus feet of Sisi Thakur, Ma Sharoda, and Swamiji. So my heartfelt thanks to him. Swami Subramaniananda Ji, the Secretary of Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, who was the president of the meeting, he has given so much of time, and really that he has dwelled deep into the subject also. by his remarks, he has enlightened us. The Department of Culture, Research and Maintenance departments of this institution, they have extended a lot of help to us for arranging publicity and inviting everybody. The Aurobindo Society, Calcutta, has also helped us in publicity through posters, etc. Sri Sitaram Das Sanskrit Shiksha Parishad, the two professors and the two Veda parties, they came and they presented the inaugural Vedic hymns. So we express our gratitude to them. And Shri Ashok Bhattacharya, we have already named, the son-in-law of Professor Sridhanshu Kumar Chakraborty and his daughter Mandirati, they have all come, and we express our deep gratitude from far away they have come. And the Globson Business School, we offer our gratitude to them for their support and participation in the activities of the management of Center for Human Development. And thanks to Dr. Taposh Ranjan Shah, also Director, IMS and IMS Business School, Kolkata, for providing us with the stationeries like pens, note sheet pad, pocket diary, key ring, etc., etc. We are grateful. And then Sri Neil Bhaskar, founder and MD, Builders of Digital Economy, New Year's USA. He also continues to help us by his thoughts and for his support in the activities of the Management Center. Like Dr. Shubhi Chaudhary, the founder of the Management Center for Human Development, a wing of the Sridhanshu Chakraborty Memorial Trust, who is very much here, and he is the prime inspiration behind the Management Act Center and all its trust activities at this age. And we pray to God that he lives long, because he is the main pillar, the pillar of faith and determination to carry forward the ethos and Hindu values.